the responsibilities of household order. How a Grihastha has to conduct oneself in such a way, eventually they will go back home back to Godhead. So the previous chapter also talked about the different duties of Grihasthas. This chapter also talks about the different duties of Grihasthas. So a Grihastha should do their respective duties properly, and they should never make a mistake of taking into Vanaprastha or Sannyas order, renounced order prematurely. Because if by chance they enter into Vanaprastha or Sannyas order prematurely, if they are not able to maintain the vows of Vanaprastha or Sannyas order, if they again come back and try to relish the household enjoyments, such a person is considered to be Vantasi. Because one has taken into Vanaprastha or Sannyas order with proper knowledge, understanding that I need to attain liberation. The path of liberation is to through renounced order. So he understood that. He understood that it is not the body. He understood that it is the spirit soul. He understood that he should not live just for the sake of bodily sense gratification. In spite of that, having entered into Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, unable to tolerate the difficulties of Vanaprastha and Sannyasa order, if such a person comes back again, tries to enjoy in this material world, such a person is considered to be Vantasi. So, little bit because Bhagavatam is trying to give us a kind of cautionary note, precautionary note. So, do something with proper understanding, not prematurely. So, in that way. So, one who having renounced the house, which is the seed of Dharmartha Kama, and again enjoys them in a shameless, is a shameless eater of vomit. Especially the sannyasis who first consider that the body is not the self, that the body is subject to death, and which eventually becomes stool, worms, or ashes, but who later thinks that the body is the self and glorifies it, are to be considered the most sinful people. Of course, these points are specifically meant for those who have already decided that they want to go back to Godhead and they made all the plans and they were going in that path and again comes back. Such a person is considered like this. So, not only that, even every person, whoever does not follow the rules and regulations that are supposed to be followed by a particular ashrama, is also considered kind of Vantasi. If one is in a particular ashrama, if we don't follow the expected rules of that ashrama and try to do something below than that, we are Vantasi. So, what is expected rules for different ashramas? It is abominable for a householder to give up his prescribed duties. For householder, the prescribed duties are supposed to be followed. If they fail to follow, they are considered to be Vantasi. For a brahmachari not to follow his vows, for brahmachari there are certain vows. If a brahmachari does not follow those vows, he is considered to be Vantasi. For a vanaprastha to engage in village activities, vanaprastha is supposed to live in the forest, but if he comes back to village and performs village activities, he is considered to be Vantasi. Or for a sannyasi to be addicted to sense gratification. A sannyasi is supposed to be completely detached. If sannyasi engages in sense gratification, Vantasi. How they are supposed to be treated? They are supposed to be treated as outcasts from their ashrama. Such a brahmachari should not be treated as brahmachari, such a grihastha should not be treated as grihastha, such a vanaprastha should not be treated as vanaprastha, such a sannyasi should not be treated as sannyasi. Because they have cheated that particular ashrama. They could not follow the rules of that ashrama. So one should neglect giving them mercy, since they are bewildered by the Lord's Maya. Such kind of people are not worthy to receive the compassion. Because knowingly they entered into a particular ashrama, and knowingly they did not follow the rules and regulations of that ashrama, and knowingly they kind of fell down. So that way we have to understand. So in one sense, one should enter into a particular ashrama with proper understanding, then one should be obliged to the rules and regulations of the ashrama. One cannot find shortcuts or cut corners, something like that one should not do. So that is what is hinted or expected by a person as per Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is where we stopped last week, and we'll continue from text number 40 onwards. So one should neglect them concerning compassion. This means that when they die, one should not give them teachings and the truth out of mercy, since such teachings are useless for them. When they die means when they give up their ashrama, because when they are failed to follow the rules and regulations of their ashrama is as good as they have given up their ashrama. When they are given up their ashrama means they are died of that ashrama. For such people, if we try to give any instructions, they will not take. They will be useless. So that is the understanding. But however, then how can one remain in one's own ashrama strongly and able to practice the expected rules and regulations of the ashrama properly? That will be narrated in the next section. By what knowledge one becomes strong in executing the duties of one's own ashrama. So that will be explained in the future part of the entire chapter. But before that, some basic understanding of who we are. So because previously one point was made here, if you see, sannyasi who first considers that the body is not the self, that means there is someone who is self. But eventually, I mean, they also understand that the body is subject to death, and it transforms into stool, worms, or ashes. But who later thinks that the body is the self and glorifies it and tries to provide the enjoyment to the body. Here, the two aspects are there. On one side, they are thinking that the body is not the self, and body is subject to death, and the body transforms into stool, worms, and ashes. One category people say this. Other category people might say that no, no, you are the body. You need to enjoy the body. So now there is a proper understanding of who we are, what is this body. So that will be explained in the next section that we will start now, starting from verse number 40 onwards. Atmanam ched vijaniyat
आत्मानं चेद्विजानीयात्
param jnana tutashaya
परं ज्ञानधुताशया
kimichan kasya va hetor
किमिच्छन् कस्य वा हेतोर्
teham pushnati lampataha.
देहं पुष्णाति लम्पटा. The human form of body is meant for understanding the self and the supreme self, the supreme personality of Godhead, both of whom are transcendently situated. If both of them can be understood when one is purified by advanced knowledge, for what reason and for whom does a foolish, greedy person maintain the body for sense gratification?
Hmm. Here, Narada Muni is trying to help us understand the truth about the body and soul. If a person cleansed by the knowledge knows that the Atma is different from the body, with what desire and for what reason does that enjoyer nourish the body? That means basically any sane person who understands that one is not the body but one is the spirit soul, how or by what one tries to enjoy with the body, or lavishly provide luxuries to the body. That way we can say. So then now, of course, the very at the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, when Lord Krishna starts speaking, the second chapter, text number 16 to 30, Lord Krishna very nicely describes how the body is different from the spirit soul. The distinction between the matter and spirit is very nicely analyzed there. So something similar kind of understanding will be given now in the next coming shlokas. How the body is different from the spirit soul. What exactly this body is made up of. So such kind of things are given with the help of a chariot body analogy. Of course, this chariot body analogy is very much famous. Srila Prabhupada made it widely popular through Bhagavad Gita, quoting one Chandogya Upanishad shloka in one of the, I think, sixth canto, sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita it comes. So everyone discusses about that. We are not this body, we are the soul. How the soul is the passenger in the chariot of the body, and the five senses are compared to five horses. The mind is compared to the reins. The intelligence is compared to the driver. The soul is compared to the passenger. The paths are compared to the sense objects. The same analogy comes here, Bhagavatam also. Among these, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, the sannyasi is particularly criticized for he has obtained disturbances in his practice. So basically, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, if they make some mistakes, we can understand that okay, what can be done, poor fellow is not able to follow. But a sannyasi is not expected to make any mistakes because the sannyasi is the highest order, it is a later part in the life. So one is entering into sannyasi means when entering into sannyasi with proper understanding of what one is expected to do in sannyasa order. In spite of that, if one fails to do, so that is very unfortunate situation. That's why the sannyasi is criticized more than anyone else. So in that way, if he has purified his mind by knowledge, he should concentrate on the self, which is different from the body. Because one is entering into sannyasa means one should have understood what is body, what is soul. Because the sannyasa entering into sannyasa means one is planning to go back to Godhead. One is planning to attain liberation. Why is that planning to attain liberation? Because they understood that I am the spirit soul, I am not the material body. If one thinks that I am the material body, one may work hard to go to heaven, or one may work hard to increase one's prosperity here. So a bodily conscious person will never endeavor to go attain liberation. So that is what is basically understood. Then what does he desire? What is the desire of sannyasi? A sannyasi renounces the body, which is filled with greed for enjoyment, greed for enjoying the tongue, because the greed of tongue is topmost than any other senses. That's why it is mentioned. Lampata also says that he is greedy for sex life also. So these are some of the desires which are very difficult to control. So that's why they are entered. So now, having stated this, a sannyasi is expected to have the knowledge of the distinction between the body and soul. And sannyasi is a person who is determined to attain liberation and practices sadhana vigorously. If he fails, he is guilty and is criticized. So that's why one should not take sannyasa prematurely. That is understanding. So now, what kind of knowledge one is supposed to have? What kind of knowledge strengthens one to enter into Vanaprastha or Sannyasa order and makes one work hard to attain liberation? That knowledge has been indicated in the form of an analogy. Now in the upcoming 2-3 shlokas. The body and senses, which are the cause of obstacles for the inattentive person, are useful for the attentive yogi. Even a yogi, a practicing sadhaka also, in order to perform sadhana, one uses the same body. The same body might distract one from sadhana, but the same body only will help one to perform sadhana also. So this is the meaning conveyed through the Shruti metaphor. So the Chandogya Upanishad metaphor which Srila Prabhupada quotes many places in Bhagavad Gita is Atmanam Ratinam Vidhi Shariram Ratamevacha. Sharira is Rata. Rata meant for taking the passenger to from place A to place B. If there is no Rata, how can the passenger will go to the destination? Wherever the destination may be, without the vehicle we cannot go. So we need the vehicle. So we cannot ignore the utility of the vehicle. We have to utilize the vehicle to take us to the destination. If you know about the destination, we will go in that direction. If you are determined to go in the direction, we will go in that direction. If you do not know the destination, the chariot, the horses will take the chariot on its own here, there, wherever they want. So in that way, one should be careful. So that's why this shloka says, Atmanam Ratnam Vidhi. Know that the body is the chariot and the soul is the passenger. Shariram Ratamevacha. This is now explained in 6 verses. Starting from 41 to 47, the 6 verses will elaborate on this metaphorical shloka, which is explained in the chariot body analogy. So let us see how Bhagavatam is giving more details about the same chariot body analogy. Ahu shariram ratamindriyani.
आहु शरीरं रथमिन्द्रियाणि
हयानभीषून्मन इन्द्रियेषाम्
हयानभीषुन्मन इन्द्रियेषम्
वर्त्मानि मात्रा दिशनां च सूतम्
वर्त्मानि मात्राधिषणां च सूतम्
तत्त्वं बृहद्बन्धुरमीश सृष्टम्
तत्त्वं बृहद्बन्धुरमीश सृष्टम्. Transcendentalists who are advanced in knowledge compare the body, which is made by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to a chariot. The senses are like the horses. The mind, the master of the senses, is like the reins. The objects of the senses are the destination. Intelligence is the chariot driver, and consciousness, which spreads throughout the body, is the cause of bondage in this material world.
So here, this shloka, of course, whatever we read from that Shvetavtara Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad shloka, which Prabhupada quotes in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, little bit more details are added here. So there, Atmanam Ratinam Vidhi Shariram Ratamevacha, and then, so Atma is the passenger and body is the Rata, and the 5 Indriyas are the 5 horses, and the 5 sense objects are the 5 paths, and then the mind is the reins and intelligence is the driver. So these were the details. So let us see what is there in the Bhagavatam. The Jnanis say that Ahu, the Jnanis, the self-realized souls say that the body, the chariot, Shariram Ratam, the senses are the horses, Indriyani Hayan, the mind, the master of the senses, is the reins, Abhi, Ishun, Mana, Indriyesham. Mana is Abhishum. Abhishum means the reins, and mind is the reins, which is Indriya Isham, the master of the senses. And then Vartmani Matra. The 5 Tanmatras are the different paths. Vartmani. We may say na Vartma Pradakshaka Guru. The Vartma is the path. So in that way. The objects of senses are the destinations. So in that way. And then Dishanam cha Sutam. Dishanam cha Sutam. Intelligence is the chariot driver. The driver is intelligence. And now, till now, everything is same. One extra additional point which comes in the Bhagavatam is Sattvam Bruhad Bandura Mesha Srishtam. Sattvam means consciousness. So we have included 5 gross elements with which the body is made, which is like the chariot, and 5 sense objects, which are like 5 paths, 5 jnanindriyas and 5 karmendriyas. Of course, there are only 5 horses. So the 5 horses are considered to be the senses, but we can say jnanindriyas and karmendriyas, all senses are part of the horses only. And the mind is the reins, intelligence is the driver. And in that sense, everyone is covered except the soul is the passenger. The chitta, the 24th element, is not covered in that Chandogya Upanishad shloka, but the chitta is described in the Bhagavatam. Sattvam Bruhad Bandhuram. So what is the meaning of this? The consciousness, which spreads throughout the body, which is made by the Lord, Isha Srishtam, is the seat of the charioteer. Panduram means seat of the charioteer. Bruhat means the greatest, that which spreads all over the body. That is known as Sattvam, consciousness or Chitta. It is created by the Supreme Lord, Isha System. Of course, Isha System is applicable to all the elements, but especially we are using it here, but in the last line is where, okay. But everything has been created by the Supreme Lord. All the elements, starting from the Ratha, all the way up to Bandhuram, they are all created by the Supreme Lord only. The mind is the master of senses. It is called the reins. The sense objects are the paths, the places for senses to go. Because we have 5 tanmatras and 5 jnanendriyas. The jnanendriyas are always looking for enjoying the tanmatras. So in that way, the horses will go, the sense, arts like senses will go. But for a sadhaka, he has to direct the senses to the ultimate personality of Godhead. So there, in that regard, the object, the ultimate goal become the sense object. So in that way, there is one verse in Bhagavatam first canto. What was that? Dharmasai apavargasya na artho artaya upakalpate. So normally people perform dharma in order to get artha, which is used to enjoy the 5 sense objects. That is kama. So that ultimately dharma is performed to attain 5 tanmatras. That is the normal world view. But Bhagavatam world view is dharma should be performed in order to attain apavarga, the transcendence. So here the apavarga becomes tanmatra. For a sadhaka, apavarga is tanmatra. For a person who is not sadhaka, the 5 sense objects, the 5 tanmatras are artha. So that's the way we have to understand. So that's why the sense objects are the 5 paths, the places for the senses to go. Normally the person want to fulfill their sense desires, so they walk in that direction. But a sadhaka is supposed to go to attain transcendence. So the transcendence becomes their sense object. And finally, consciousness which spreads throughout the body. Sorry, no, not that. The chitta, sattvam, is called large, bruhat, because it pervades the body. It is the seat for the charioteer. Bandhuram means seat, where the intelligence is seated. Of course, the seat for the soul is heart, we say. The soul is situated in the heart. But the seat for the intelligence is supposed to be consciousness, the Krishna consciousness. The chitta is supposed to be seat for the intelligence. Then the intelligence will go in proper direction. If the intelligence ignores the chitta, then intelligence will drive the chariot in a direction where sense gratification is available. So like that. We are seated in a particular place means we have been identified with that seat. So for example, there is a seat of judge in the court. Whoever sits in that chair is considered by everyone as the judge only. We cannot say that he is somebody else, because it is the seat which determines what is one's identity. Somebody who is sitting in the prime minister seat or chief minister seat will be called as chief minister, prime minister. The same way, the seat here is chitta. The intelligence is supposed to sit in that seat and then direct in the proper direction. So that is the understanding. Seat itself has its own responsibility or its own what we can say, its own, not exactly contribution. It actually, it has its own existence. It has its own contribution. It has its own demanding of respect and all those things. So in that way, without the chitta, the body becomes incoherent. The creator of the seat or the chitta is the Supreme Lord. Or even all elements are created by the Supreme Lord only. Of course, since Isha System is coming the last line, especially the Lord creates chitta, and eventually from the chitta, remaining elements are formed. Because Mahatattva is the first element that has been created by the glancing of Mahavishnu upon Pradhana. So in that way, even Mahavishnu is also called as Mahasrishtur, the creator of Mahatattva. In many places in the second and third canto of Bhagavatam, Mahavishnu is identified as Mahasrishtur, the creator of Mahatattva. By glancing upon Prakriti or Pradhana, Mahavishnu creates Mahatattva. And eventually from Mahatattva, all other elements are created. And more than that, Mahavishnu himself is the presiding deity of Mahatattva. The deity of Mahatattva is Lord Vishnu or Vasudeva. For other elements, we have Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, etc. But for Mahatattva, the deity is Vishnu himself. So in that way, Vishnu is the creator of Mahatattva. Vishnu is the deity of Mahatattva. In that way, Vishnu has close connection with Mahatattva. That's why for Mahatattva, it is called Isha Srishtam, which was directly created by Lord, Supreme Lord. All other elements are created from Mahatattva, but indirectly, they are all secondary creations. So, like that, we have to consider. Okay. So, still, few more things are explained in relation to the chariot. Let us see. Aksham dasha pranam madharma dharmao. Hare Krishna, other devotees also can recite. No problem.
Aksharam.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mataji.
Aksharam dasya pranam adharam dharma.
Chakre vimanam ratinam cha jivam.
Chakre vihinam ratinam cha jiva.
Dhanurhitasya pranavam patanti.
Tanurhitasya pranavam prathanti.
Sharam tu jivam parameva laksham.
Charam tu jivam parameshwar lakshyam. Translation: the 10 kinds of air acting within the body are compared to the spokes of the chariot's wheels, and the top and bottom of the wheel itself are called religion and irreligion. The living entity in the bodily concept of life is the owner of the chariot. The Vedic mantra pranava is the bow, the pure living entity himself in the arrow, and the target is the supreme being.
Yeah. After stating some of the elements of the chariot in the previous verse, few more elements are added onto it in this verse. The 10 life airs are the 10 spokes of the chariot wheels. We have 10 life airs: Prana, Apana, Samana, Vana, Udana, Trikara, Devadatta, Dhananjaya, etc. etc. Third canto talks about these 10 airs. So those 10 airs are compared to the 10 spokes because we have 2 wheels for the chariot. Each wheel has 5 spokes. Like that we can take. Dharma and adharma are the wheels. The spokes are the pranas and the wheels are dharma and adharma. 2 wheels are there. One is dharma wheel, adharma wheel. They keep going circular. The conditioned jiva is the passenger. Aksham dasha pranam. The spokes are the 10 pranas. Adharma dharma chakre. The chakras are adharma and dharma. Abhimanam ratinam cha jivam. The conditioned jiva is the passenger. So this is one analogy. the comparison of the body and soul is explained in relation to the chariot, driver, passenger, and other bodily parts of the chariot. There is second analogy. This is given in terms of a warrior because Narada Muni is speaking to Pandavas. Pandavas can easily understand the language of warriors. Previously in the Bhagavad Gita also we saw Lord Krishna also speaks about the body and distinction of the body and soul in terms of the weapons. So that Agneyasra, Varunasra, Parjanyasra, Vayuvyasra, they cannot destroy the soul. So like that Lord Krishna says in that section. Now, in terms of warrior, how what it is mentioned? Tanurhi tasya pranavam patanti charantu jivam parameva laksham. Om is the bow. They say the pure jiva is the arrow aimed at the Supreme Lord. Very interesting explanation because Narada Muni is talking in terms of the regular traditional Varnashram system whose principal goal is Sahyajya. So keeping that in mind, in relation to the process of attaining Sahyajya Mukti, what is the process they follow? So keeping that in mind, here Narada Muni is speaking. So for devotees, we need to just slightly modify it and understand the same sloka. So let us see what it is. The 10 types of pranas are the 10 spokes. They say the conditioned jiva is the passenger. So this is like first analogy. Om is the valuable bow obtained by the mercy of Guru. So for the warriors, as soon as they go to Gurukul, the Guru gives them the bow. So bow is the via medium with which we can shoot the arrow. It is the instrument with which we can shoot the arrow. So here, so what is the meaning of the what is the bow indicating? Om. Om is pranava, the Omkara mantra that is supposed to be chanted by the person. So for those who want to attain Sahyajya Mukti, they have to chant Om. Devotees have to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is how we have to just replace the mantra. This is basically the sadhana. The bow is like the sadhana, so which is chanting Om for them, chanting Hare Krishna for us. So what do you do with the bow? You put an arrow and pull it backward and shoot it. When you shoot it, the arrow goes to the target, reaches the target. Now, whether somebody is practicing the Varnashrama duty person, Brahmachari, Gurastha, Vanapra, Sannyasi is practicing with respect to sadhana, or a devotee practicing bhakti. What was their goal? For them, the goal is Sahyajya. For us, the goal is Goloka or Vaikuntha. We have to go there. So who's supposed to go there? The Jivatma has to go there. And that Jivatma is the arrow. How the Jivatma can go there? By the practice of sadhana. How the arrow can go there? By putting on the bow and pulling it backward and releasing it. So like that it is understood. And who gives us the bow? Guru gives us the bow. The sadhana will be given by the Guru. The pure Jiva is the arrow. So now, when we are putting the arrow into the bowstring, that means the Jiva has become pure, ready to go to spiritual world. Till then, we have to prepare the arrow. So practicing sadhana is like the preparation of arrow. Or putting the arrow onto the bowstring and then pulling it backward and trying to release. When you release, it will not wait here, it goes. And preparing, making all the preparations to release the arrow is like practicing sadhana. So in that way. Here, the pure Jiva is the arrow aimed at the Supreme Brahman. For this, in the context of discussion for Varnashram system, the goal is Brahman, that is Brahma Sahyajya. For devotees, the goal is Krishna, Krishna Prema, Goloka Vrindavan. So in that way we have to see. As an arrow is aimed with a bow and shot at a target, the Jiva is shot at Brahman by uttering Om. By chanting the Pranava mantra, Omkara mantra, the Jnanis and Yogis attain Sahyajya. That is a sadhana. But in the metaphor of the chariot, if one aims at Brahman, then Brahman becomes the enemy. From the warrior's language, you are shooting an arrow means you are shooting the arrow at an enemy. You want to destroy the enemy. That's why you are shooting the arrow. So this example is indirectly indicating us that the Brahman is an arrow enemy. That's why you are shooting arrow. Hey, what is this? What kind of analogy you are giving? Somebody may say. The enemy climbing the chariot is pierced by an arrow. Then Brahman becomes the enemy. The enemy is pierced by an arrow. So basically, the Brahman will be pierced by arrow. The arrow which you are shooting will be pierced by arrow. So what kind of analogy you may be giving? So the explanation is given like that. But why do we need to understand like that? The explanation is given next shloka, next part. So it is said that is the Brahman the enemy of Jiva? Because Brahman bind the Jiva by its Maya. Somebody may think that it is because of Brahman only I am bound in this mental world. I want to ask the question to Brahman, why you have put me in this difficult condition? Like that one may say. So one may treat the Brahman to be enemy. But actually Bhagavatam explains, simply by constantly thinking of him, the enemies of the Lord attain the same supreme truth, whom sages fixed in yoga worship by controlling their breath, mind, and senses. The jnanis and yogis are performing saver sadhana. On the other hand, the asuras, when they are killed by the Supreme Lord, they attain liberation. The same liberation which is attained by jnanis and yogis. So, kind of seeing the comparative analysis of these two, like just like an enemy when being killed by an arrow attains Sahajya Mukti. Similarly, the jnani and yogi becoming an arrow, practicing sadhana means that by putting on the string of the bow, when released, it will attain Brahman. So something like that. Because from the warrior's language, one is releasing the arrow to hit the target, to hit the enemy. So like that we have to see. That's how this example is given. Is it true that by having enmity for the Lord, one can attain the equivalent of the liberation that the sages desire? So the asuras anyway have the enmity toward the Lord, they also attain Sahajya Mukti. That Sahajya Mukti and the Sahajya Mukti attained by the sages both are same. Some say that the Supreme Lord gives both the Jnani and enemy the same liberation on seeing the small amount of secondary bhakti included within Jnana and the assistance that the enemies give to the Lord in experiencing the happiness of Virarasa. Since both enemies and the Jnanis fire the arrows at the Lord. The current shloka which is talking about the bow to be sadhana, chanting home, and shooting the arrow is like attaining Brahman. So both are attaining same Sahajya Mukti only. But why they are attaining Sahajya Mukti, same Sahajya Mukti? The Asuras are giving happiness to Supreme Lord by experiencing the Virya Rasa. So they are awarded Asuras who are also shooting arrows at the Lord and trying to pierce the Lord. They are giving the Lord to experience that Virya Rasa and they will attain Sahajya Mukti. And yogis are also shooting the arrow. The Jiva himself is the arrow. So they will also attain Sahajya Mukti. So in that way. Others say that in aiming the Paramatma, the Jnanis are like those who aimed at the fish in the wheel of Draupadi Swayamvara ceremony. What happened in the Draupadi Swayamvara ceremony? By hitting the target, one will attain Draupadi as the wife. You are hitting the target, but you are not killing anybody. Same way, when Jnanis or yogis are releasing an arrow, it is not the arrow is meant to go to Brahman, but it is not like piercing the Brahman. So you will be winning the contest. As a result of that winning of that contest, you will get entry into Brahman. Like in Draupadi Swayamvar, by shooting the target, one will attain Draupadi. So like that. That's how we have to understand. So just as Arjuna pierced the target with an arrow by the strength of his arms and attained Draupadi. Similarly, the Jnanis attain liberation by the strength of their bhakti. Thus, they are not really enemies. So just because they are shooting the arrow at Brahman, we cannot treat them as enemies. They are shooting arrow at Brahman is like Arjuna shooting arrow at the target. The result of hitting the target is Arjuna got Draupadi in marriage, and this Jnani or Yogi attains entry into Sahaja. So like that we have to understand this. So in this way, the chariot body analogy is a little bit extended in relation to a warrior and explained. So very nice analogy. The bow or the instrument is Om for them. Hare Krishna Mahamantra for us. It is basically sadhana. And the arrow is the pure jiva, who is ready to attain the liberation, whether it is in Sahaja or in Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan. And then the arrow has to be put on the bowstring and should be released. It will go to spiritual world. So like that. That we can say as prayojana. So this is how these analogies are explaining us. So with this analogy, we can easily remember, we can easily understand, we can easily try to practice, contemplate and practice. That is the reason. So, okay. Rago dveshascha lobhascha
रागोद्वेषश्च लोभश्च
शोकमोहौदयं मदा
शोकमोहौ भयं मदा
मानावमानो सूया च
मानोऽवमानोऽसूया च
माया हिंसा च मत्सरा
माया हिंसा च मत्सरा
रजप्रमादक्षुन्निद्रा
रजः प्रमादक्षुन्निद्रा
शत्रवस्तु एवम् आदय
शत्रवस्त्वेव मादया
रजस्तमा प्रकृतया
रजस्तमा प्रकृतया
सत्त्वं प्रकृतया क्वचित्
सत्त्वं प्रकृतया क्वचित्. In the conditioned stage, one's conception of life are sometimes polluted by passion and ignorance, which are exhibited by attachment, hostility, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, false prestige, insults, fault finding, deception, envy, intolerance, passion, bewilderment, hunger, and sleep. All of these enemies, sometimes one's conception, are also polluted by goodness.
So now, how a conditioned soul, who is the passenger of the chariot, becomes a pure soul, the arrow which can be shooted to attain Brahman. So that is kind of given a hint here. How? The enemies are attachment, hostility, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, pride, disrespect, envy, deception, violence, intolerance, passion, bewilderment, hunger, and sleep. Sometimes they are influenced by rajas and tamas, and sometimes they are influenced by sattva. Raga, Dvesha, Lobha, Shoka, Moha, Bhaya, Mada, Mana, Avamana, Asuya, Maya, Himsa, Mastara, Raja, Pramada, Kshun, Nidra. All these are Chatravastu Evam Adaya. All these are the real enemies of a conditioned soul. When one overcomes all these enemies, one can become a pure Jivatma who can be shooted with the help of the bow. So like that. And sometimes all these elements are influenced by tamoguna, rajoguna. One is in deep slumber. Sometimes they may be influenced by sattva also. Still, there is also a problem. But better than rajoguna, tamoguna. But still, even sattva also, it's a problem. Just as one who attains the bride at Swayamvara ceremony kills the opposing kings by his strength. So, similarly, the sannyasi must kill attachment, hatred, and other qualities by the strength of bhakti to Supreme Lord. This is explained in 3 verses. So, by the strength of one's own sadhana, one need to overcome all these obstacles. These obstacles are the cause of losing the desire or determination to practice the duties of one's own ashrama. So, those human things are there. Sikho. Attachment, hostility, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, pride, disrespect, envy, deception, violence, intolerance, passion, bewilderment, hunger, and sleep. All these things, one after the other, can attack us, can make us bound in this mental world. Sometimes these qualities manifest in Rajoguna or Tamoguna, and at other time they manifest in Sattva. In Sattva, the obstacles may manifest in the form of helping others also. Like Bharat Maharaj was trying to help deer and written here. So something like that. So in either case, they are the reason for one's bondage. So in that way. Then Narada Muni further continues. यावन्द्रुकाय रतम्यात्मविक्षोपकल्पम्
यावन्नग्राहाय रथम् आत्मवशोपकल्पम्
दत्ते गरिष्ठचरणाचनया निशातम्
यत्ते गरिष्ठश्चरणार्चनया निशातम्
ज्ञानासिमच्युतबलो धदस्तशत्रुः
ज्ञानासिमच्युतो बलो दाधा असक्तस्पृहः शत्रुः
स्वानन्दतुष्टौपशान्त इदं विजय्यात्
स्वाधानतुष्टा उपशान्त idam vijayata. Translation: as long as one has to accept a material body with its different parts and paraphernalia, which was not fully under one's control, one must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely his spiritual master, and the spiritual master's predecessors. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge, and with the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy, one must then conquer the enemies mentioned above. In this way, the devotee should be able to merge into his own transcendental bliss, and then he may give up his body and resume his spiritual identity.
Here Narada Muni is saying, as long as one remains in this body, in the current body, controlling the senses and other components of the chariot of the body with peaceful demeanor, one should destroy the enemies by the strength of the Lord, using the sword of knowledge, jnana, sharpened by serving the lotus feet of great gurus. And then, satisfied with one's bliss, one should give up the body. Swananda tushta upashanta idam vijaya. So it is given that jnanasinam garishta charana chanaya nishatam. So garishta charana charaya means serving the great gurus and satisfied one's own bliss. Swananda tushta. Not trying to experience the happiness from enjoying the sense objects. Instead, one should experience bliss being situated in one's own self. And then such a person slowly, happily give up this material body, and that means give up this chariot, and then the arrow should go to Brahman. So in that way, as long as one possesses the chariot of the human body, which is assisted by senses and other facilities, while holding the sword of knowledge sharpened by the service to the feet of great gurus, being strong with bhakti to the Supreme Lord, having destroyed the enemies and satisfied by attaining one's kingdom of bliss, one should give up the chariot since it is no longer suitable. So, having purified oneself, having conquered all the enemies, having overcome all the obstacles, when one is ready to go back to Godhead, one should go back without looking backward. Having destroyed the enemies and satisfied by attaining one's kingdom of bliss, one should give up the chariot since it is no longer suitable. So then there is no use of chariot. So just go back and enter into Brahman or Vaikuntha according to one's desire. So this is how one should be preparing to go back to Godhead. Whether one may be Brahmachari, Grahastha or Vanaprastha, one should have this understanding, one should have this knowledge, one should practice this sadhana and get ready to go back to Godhead. So with this understanding only, one should enter into sannyasa and should never look back until one reaches the destination, having completed all the responsibilities of the household order. So like that. However, one does not give up the strong body on attaining one's kingdom. So in the case of warriors, so like they fight, they kill the enemy, and they get the new kingdom, and they continue to rule. So they don't give up the body. How are you telling you to give up the body? So like that one may question. The answer is after defeating the enemy, one gives up the chariot, bow, and arrow. So when you are in the battlefield, you will be standing in the chariot, you will be holding a bow on your left hand and you are holding the arrow in the right hand and shooting the arrows to kill the enemy. Enemy is killed, you win the battle. Then when you come home, you leave the chariot, you leave the bow, you leave the arrow, you enter into the palace, something like that. The Jnani gives up Jnana as sadhana for liberation, since it is a covering composed of Prakriti and then merges with Paramatma by the small portion of pure bhakti included in his practice of Jnana. Like practicing Jnana and practicing Ashtanga Yoga is like a warrior fighting in the battlefield. But when he becomes victorious, when he comes home, he does not enter into his bedroom along with the chariot, along with the armor, along with the bow and arrows. No, he leaves it behind and himself enters into the inner chambers of the palace, Antapura. The same way, a jnani and a yogi, while being here, practices jnana and yoga. But when they are attaining liberation, they leave behind the jnana and yoga. They don't take the jnana and yoga along with them like devotees. Devotees take bhakti along with them. But the jnanis and yogis supposed to leave behind the jnana and yoga when they attain liberation. That is being indicated here with the help of similar analogy. He does not give up that bhakti. One must reject both jnana and ajnana since they are functions of Maya Shakti in order to merge with Paramatma by the functioning of the Lord Swarupa Shakti. Because bhakti is beyond three gunas, it can accompany the person when he attains liberation or enters into Vaikuntha. But Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga processes are the process of Satoguna. So when one want to attain liberation, one has to give us the three modes and everything that is connected to three modes. So Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga is part of Satoguna. They will be given up when they are attaining liberation in that way. They say that Om is the bow, the arrow is the jiva aimed at the Brahman. The arrow separating from the bow and the chariot enter the target by the force of the person shooting the arrow. Now, when the pure jivatma, which is the arrow, attaining liberation, when it is shooted, the bow is the sadhana. the practice of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, the arrow does not take the bow along with it. The arrow leaves behind the bow and chariot behind only. Only arrow goes ahead. Same way, a Jnani or a yogi, Ashtanga yogi or Jnana yogi, leaves behind their sadhana and goes ahead, enters into Brahman. So like that. Similarly, the pure jiva, giving up the impure jiva with its body, senses, and avidya, and giving up vidya in the form of Om means Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, which causes knowledge for liberation by the strength of a small amount of pure bhakti residing in that impure jiva. The pure jiva realizes Paramatma and merges into him. That is the meaning when the Lord says. So this is the meaning of this section. So even a Jnana Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi who practices the Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, when they attain liberation, they have to leave behind Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, because after liberation, they don't have to practice any more Jnana Yoga or any more Ashtanga Yoga. There will be no use of Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Just like when a person is in household order, one need to perform yajna and so many other samskaras. But if one takes to sannyas order, one does not perform yajnas or samskaras. That is not required. Similarly, one is liberated by the practice of Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, one no need to follow Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga after liberation. So here from Bhagavad Gita, these are two shlokas which are very much familiar to all of us. All of us have already completed Bhakti Shastri. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktin labate param. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatvatah tato mam tattvato jnatva vijatantaram. When we say arrow is the pure Atma, so what are the characteristics of pure Atma? This verse talks about. Is Brahmabhuta, already Brahman realized. Is Prasannatma completely satisfying? That means experiencing the bliss of one's own self. Na sochati na kankshati, does not anchor, does not lament. Samas sarveshu bhuteshu, sees everyone equally. And mad bhaktim labate param. With little bhakti remains, that comes forward. When one is practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, in addition to the regular practices, there is always some bhakti hidden within it. Till now, the hidden bhakti becomes the most prominent or the one and only item left with that arrow of the pure jiva. So with that pure bhakti, the arrow realizing the absolute truth either as Brahman or as Bhagavan attains Brahman or Vaikuntha. That is indicated in the next shloka. That is like shooting. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanya chasmi tatha. It is by bhakti a person knows me as Brahman. Then knowing me as Brahman, by that bhakti, the person merges with me. So becoming pure, like the pure arrow, is like practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Then shooting the arrow is like that the hidden bhakti becomes obvious now. The only bhakti remains. With that bhakti, the arrow is shooted and arrow will reach the target. So like that. When the coverings are removed by the performance of jnana mixed with bhakti, one attains Brahmabhuta stage. The form of Brahman has pure consciousness without any coverings. By the removal of contamination, it is called Atma and joyful, Prasannatma. So Prasannatma means without any coverings. Atma is identifying him with Atma itself. Currently, we have so many coverings. We are identifying ourselves with a gross body or subtle body. We say that I am Pandu, I am born in so and so place, my parents are so and so, and that is our gross covering. Our subtle coverings are I am engineer, I am this, I am that, I am intellectual, I am hardworking, I am all these qualities connected to subtle body. That is subtle covering. When we remove these two coverings, when one identifies oneself with the Atma, that is the condition of Prasannatma, pure Atma. So like that. Then he is equal to all beings who are either inimical or friendly, since he does not seek any pleasure in externals. Now, when he starts seeing himself as Prasannatma, he starts seeing other people also as Prasannatma. He sees everyone as Prasannatma only. So in that way. Then, with the disappearance of jnana, which is like a fire which disappears without fuel, he attains bhakti, which was included in jnana, but which is indestructible since it belongs to the Lord Swarupa Shakti and is different from Maya Shakti. It does not disappear with the disappearance of Vidya and Avidya. So when the arrow is shorted, the Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga and Nishkama Karma Yoga, all such things are remaining backward, behind only. Like the bow remains behind. So like fire, which disappears without fuel. Such a person attains bhakti, which was included in jnana, but which is indestructible since it belongs to Lord Sarupa Shakti and it is different from the Maya Shakti. So, Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga are expansions of Maya Devi because Maya Devi are three modes. The Sattva Guna expands itself in the form of Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. But Bhakti is Nirguna. Bhakti, since Bhakti is Nirguna, it will never extinguish. That is the understanding. So Tamoguna, Rajoguna are avidya, Sattva is Vidya. So Vidya contains Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. So in that way, one has to given up Rajoguna, Tamoguna as well as Sattva in order to attain liberation. Thus, one attains pure bhakti, Madbhaktim Labate Param, divide of Jnana and Karma. At this point of time, when you want to shoot the arrow, then you have to give up the bow. That means there will be no more Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga. The arrow will go forward with the strength of bhakti. So, in that way. Previously, the small amount of bhakti used for achieving liberation through Jnana and Vairagya was not visible, though it was present like Paramatma. So, Paramatma is there, Andantarastha Paramanu Jantarasam, Paramatma is there in the each and every atom, but we can't see it. Similarly, bhakti is also there while one practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. One may not see it, but now we see it. It is by that bhakti one shoots the arrow. It is that bhakti which takes the arrow all the way up to the destination. So now bhakti becomes visible only when one becomes pure. That is understanding. The verse say he attains pure bhakti rather than he performs pure bhakti. Mad bhaktim labate param. Here labate means he attains pure bhakti. It is not that after becoming Brahmabhuta he begins to practice bhakti. No, he was practicing bhakti from the very beginning in a hidden way. But now he only remains with bhakti. बाकी सब कुछ गायब हो गया. So like that. That is understanding. It is just like a jewel which, though covered by grains, is not destroyed when the grains are destroyed in time and then becomes visible. Like there is a diamond inside the grains. If the entire house was burnt to ashes, all the grains will be burnt to ashes, but the diamond will remain as it is. Diamond, the fire cannot burn the diamond. So that is understanding. But it is not possible for that person to attain full prema bhakti at that time or even merging. Thus, Param should not be explained as Prema Bhakti. When we say Mad Bhaktin Labate Param, that does not mean that he attained Prema Bhakti. No. Whatever sadhana bhakti was performing along with Nishkama Karma Yoga, along with Jnana Yoga, along with Ashtanga Yoga, at different stages, one has first he has given up Nishkama Karma Yoga, giving up household order, then enters into Vanaprastha or Sannyasa, he practices Jnana Yoga. At certain point of time, he wants to give up his body, then he practices Ashtanga Yoga. Having come to Samadhi platform, he has come to Brahmabhuta platform. Having come to Brahmabhuta platform, if he want to go ahead, he has to give that up also. Give that Ashtanga Yoga. And then what was being practiced in a secret way is Bhakti Yoga from the very beginning. Now he is left with Bhakti Yoga only. So with the help of that Bhakti Yoga, one realizes Brahman and one will attain Brahman. So that is the understanding. Thus Param should not be explained as Prema Bhakti. This Bhakti Yoga is not at Prema Bhakti, but this is Bhakti Yoga. Then what happens to the person with that Bhakti Yoga? Then Mad Bhaktin Labate Param, uske baad kya hoga? Either the Jnani or various types of devotees who know me as I am, knows me in truth by that Bhakti. The Lord says, Bhaktya aham ekaya grahya. I am only known by Bhakti. Because of that, by that Bhakti alone, after the disappearance of avidya, knowing me, the Jnani enters me, enjoying the happiness of merging with me. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato jnatva. By that bhakti, knowing me in tatvatah, vishati tantaram. They enter into Brahman. They attain Sahitya Mukti. So this is same thing. The same verse is taken the help of the two Bhagavad Gita shlokas, explaining the meaning of the two Bhagavad Gita shlokas. The verse meaning of this chapter is explained. So then Lord kind of says that I am not known by Vidya, since Vidya is part of Maya. Vidya means Satvaguna. Satvaguna is still part of Maya Devi, Triguna Maya, and I am beyond Maya, since because I am not known by Vidya because I am beyond Maya. How can we know the Supreme Lord who is beyond three gunas with the help of some process which is in three modes? That is not possible. Bhakti is also sometimes known as part of Vidya. So when we say Bhakti Triguna Tita, somebody may quote this shloka and they say, no, this shloka says even Bhakti is also part of three gunas. How do you understand? Sankhya Yoga Ucha Vairagyam Tapo Bhaktischa Keshave Pancha Parveti Vidyayam Yata Vidvan Harim Vishet. I think this is from Narada Pancharatra only, which says the five parts of Vidya are Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya, Tapasya, and Bhakti. Here Sankhya means Jnana Yoga, Yoga means Ashtanga Yoga, Vairagya and Tapasya, and also Bhakti. Adding to this Nishkama Karma Yoga, there are total 6 Sanghas of Vidya. All these 6 are known as Vidya, Sattva-guni processes. So one who knows them enters the Lord. Pancha Parveti Vidyayam Yata Vidwan Harim Vished. Those who know all these things, Harim Vished, they enter, they attain Lord Hari. However, the happiness of merging arises only from the actions of the Ladini Shakti. A portion of bhakti enters into Vidya in order to make it successful, just as a portion of bhakti enters into Karma Yoga to make it successful. When we say bhakti here, this bhakti is a Mishra bhakti. This is not Ananya bhakti. The bhakti mixed. When you say Sankhya Yoga, Sankhya, it is basically Jnana Yoga, Jnana with little bhakti. When you say Yoga, it is Ashtanga Yoga with little bhakti. When you say Vairagyam, it is Vairagya with little bhakti. When you say Tapasya, it is Tapasya with little bhakti. When you say Bhakti, Bhakti with little Karma, Jnana, Yoga. It is a mixed bhakti. Since it is mixed bhakti, it also contains the activities of Sattva-guna. Even such kind of mixed bhakti is also considered to be Sattva-guni sadhana. When there is only Ananya Bhakti without any mixture of any item that belongs to three modes, then it is called as Nirguna Bhakti. Without any element of any modes, such kind of Bhakti is called as Nirguna Bhakti. If Bhakti contains some element of any other sadhanas, then that Bhakti is considered to be Mishra Bhakti, which is part of three modes. So like that. Because Bhakti should be there, otherwise without Bhakti, no, nothing can attain perfection. Just like Sukadeva Goswami prays before beginning the discussion of Bhagavatam in the second canto 4th chapter. तपस्विनो दानपरायशस्विनो मनस्विनो मन्त्रविदासु मङ्गलाम् क्षेमं न विन्दन्ति विनाय दर्पणम् तस्मै सुभद्राश्रवसे नमो नमः. So there he says that any person, maybe from the society point of view, they may be looked down, but when they take shelter of bhakti, they are purified immediately. Tasmai Subhadra Shravase Namo Namah. Shuddhanti Tasmai. Immediately they are purified. When they are purified, whatever they do, when they are offered those things to Supreme Lord with the Bhakti Bhava, then they attain success and they attain Supreme Lord. If they perform all these things without Bhakti Bhava, they will not attain anything. So that is the understanding. Without that Bhakti, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga are simply wasted labor. Thus, Bhakti beyond the three gunas is not actually a function of Vidya, which belongs to Sattva-guna. Vidya means Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Tapasya, Vairagya, and Mishra Bhakti. They are all part of Sattva-guna. So that means the Vidya is part of Maya. But only Ananya Bhakti or Nirguna Bhakti is beyond Maya. That is the understanding. Shruti says, Sattva Sanjayate Jnanam. Knowledge arises from Sattva Guna. This is Bhagavad Gita chapter 14 shloka. Just as Vidya is knowledge in Sattva-guna, so the knowledge arising from Bhakti is actually Bhakti. Thus, there are two types of knowledge. One is Vidya, other one is Bhakti. So, normal Vidya, which indicates the six sangas of Vidya, Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Vairagya, Tapasya, and Bhakti Yoga. So, they generally provide one either Sahyajya Mukti or Aishwarya Mukti. But on the other hand, there is Bhakti. When one practices Bhakti, one understands the nature and attributes of Supreme Lord. That attribute of that activity of understanding Lord's nature and attributes is also called Jnanam. Because that is also knowledge. We are attaining the transcendental knowledge of the personality of Godhead. So sometimes conventionally that is also called Jnanam, and this is also called Jnanam. So in that way, but we need to understand when the word Jnana is used, what kind of Jnana it is referring to. Is it referring to the traditional process of Jnana, which is followed by Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Sahaja Mukti, or the Jnana is hinting at understanding the glories of Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela of the Supreme Lord. So understanding the glories of Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, Supreme Lord is called Bhakti Jnana. So in that way. This is how the distinction, some elaborate explanation is given for this verse, but in any case, so the analogy was given. With the help of that analogy, one should understand who one is. So what kind of sadhana one should practice and what should be one's destination, and one should work hard until one attains the destination and never looking behind in between. So this is how, with the help of a metaphorical analogy, Narada Muni is inspiring us to become strong in one's sadhana. So like that. Hare Krishna, any questions till now? All of you are able to follow?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, there are some questions, Prabhuji. First thing is like whatever this analogy of bow and arrow that we are discussing, whether it is only for the other practitioners, like practitioners of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, like that, and not for the devotee. Because at one point of time you mentioned that those practitioners of other aspects, like when the arrow is released, they leave behind the karma part of it or the jnana part of it, and only with the bhakti they enter the Brahman or whatever, like that. And then also you had mentioned earlier that for in this analogy, like this bow is the other types of sadhana for the other practitioners, and arrow is the jiva which will hit the destination, like that. But for the bhaktas, the sadhana is the bhakti, and then when the arrow is hit, like means jiva, he will go to Vaikuntha or the Goloka, like that. So, Prabhuji, then in this analogy, when the arrow for the bhakta, arrow means jiva, is hit, like, and he goes to Vaikuntha or Bhakti. So he has nothing to leave behind, na, like other practitioners are leaving, because whatever Bhakti, he has only Bhakti. So along with that Bhakti only, the jiva will hit the target, means he will go to Vaikuntha or this. Na?
No, wait. See here, first of all, that question should not come because we have been mentioning this many times. Entire seventh canto, the first 10 chapters talks about pure bhakti, ananya bhakti, without any trace of karma, jnana, yoga. The example was Prahlad Maharaj. The remaining 5 chapters talks about Mishra Bhakti and then other sadhanas, Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. That is made clear at the very beginning of the 11th chapter only. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj only asked the question that, so Bhagavan Shrotim Ichchami Nranam Dharma Sanatanam. So I want to know about what is the Sanatan Dharma for the normal human beings. There the Sanatan Dharma means Mishra Bhakti. So whatever Bhakti comes here, na, this word Bhakti is coming here. Na, this Bhakti has been indicated by Sanatan Dharma. And then Varnashramacharya, sorry. varnashrama varnashramacharayutam yat puman vindate param. And also please talk about varnashrama achara. What kind of achara should be practiced in one's varnas and ashramas? As a result of that, one attains param, liberation. So for the Mishra Bhakti, the Sanatana Dharma, Sukadeva Goswami only spoke few verses. The first 4 verses he explained about Mishra Bhakti. Afterwards, whatever he is speaking is all about Varnashrama Achara. So the Varnashrama Achara is basically Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. We mentioned this many times also. Those who are in Grihastha order, they are by default practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga. If they are determined to attain liberation. So performing household duties is nothing but Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then entering into Vanaprastha and Sannyasa is the practice of Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. There is no doubt about it. So their goal is Sajamukti. That's why in this section, Nardamuni is also talking about Brahman, talking about Om being sadhana, Pranava to be pronounced or chanted, etc. etc. From the point, since the topic is talked about, in case of devotees, how do we understand this? The Om should be replaced by Hare Krishna mantra, that becomes sadhana, like that I said. But don't interpret everything in terms of bhakti point of view. Let us stick to the subject matter that is being discussed. This is discussed in relation to Varnashrama Achara for those who are practicing as a Grasta, the Nishkama Karma Yoga, as a Vanaprastha and Sannyasi, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, and their goal is Sahajya Mukti. Because Bhakti ke baare mein already it's spoken in 10 chapters. He is now not speaking. But still, in any case, if one want to see, even Bhakti is also involved in this, yes. When it is Mishra Bhakti, when the Bhakti is mixed with Karma and Jnana, that is called Mishra Bhakti. Then what they leave behind? They also have little Karma, little Jnana in their sadhana. They leave behind that Karma, Jnana, Ashtanga, which is like the bow, and with that pure Bhakti, they'll go ahead along with the arrow. So even in the case of mixed devotees, we can also apply this logic. There is no harm in that. But primarily, this entire description is meant for Jnanis and Ashtanga Yogis, but we can also apply it to the Mishra Bhaktas, not for the Ananda Bhaktas.
Okay. Okay.
Because the Mishra Bhaktas also have something to leave behind. The Karma Jnana Yoga is supposed to be left behind. They will leave behind.
Okay. And the other thing was, Prabhuji, that these mixed practitioners, like they have the major part of karma or jnana or ashtanga yoga, and some hidden bhakti in that, which leads them to the success of their practice, whatever. So this major part which they have, that part is leading it to remain as a part of or within the realm of sattva guna. Is that the right understanding? And it is not called
No,
as
no.
a
If a
nirguna.
person is trying to practice something, means he's already in Sattva. See, like simple is not difficult thing to understand. A Grihastha who is performing Nishkama Karma Yoga, matlab is performing the household duties, which is nothing but Nishkama Karma Yoga, also with some bhakti. So some hidden bhakti is there because he is offering all the results directly or indirectly to Supreme Lord only. That bhakti bhav is there. But when one enters into Vanaprastha, what does he do?
Yeah, he leaves behind that, whatever
One leaves behind all household responsibilities, whatever yajnas or other things that one is doing in the home, he leaves behind. That means he gives up Nishkama Karma Yoga. Now, having entered into Vanaprastha order, he simply practices Jnana Yoga, which is nothing but tapasya. Jnana Yoga is Swadhyaya and tapasya. So primarily executing lot of hardships, tapasya and all. We have discussed what kind of lifestyle Vanaprastha leads and also contemplates upon the distinction with the body and soul. That is nothing but Swadhyaya. So after the 12 years of that Vanaprastha duties, some practice 12, some practice 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, at least minimum 2, maximum 12. Then one enters into sannyasa order. So before entering sannyasa, one should be thoroughly convinced that I am not the body, I am the spirit soul. The goal of my life is to attain liberation. Then only one should enter sannyasa, otherwise one should not enter. So now, having entered into sannyasa, after practicing some more time, the contemplation and austerities and after attaining sufficient amount of detachment from this material world, one takes the help of Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the platform of Samadhi or Jivan Mukta, then gives up that Ashtanga Yoga also. When one practices Ashtanga Yoga, he is already given up Jnana Yoga. When one comes to Samadhi, he gives up Ashtanga Yoga also. So, first, Nishkama Karma Yoga awards the result in the form of purification of the heart from all material desires and qualification to enter into Vanaprastha order. And the having performed Vanaprastha order duties, one attains detachment from this material world and the qualification to enter into sannyasa. When one enters into sannyasa with the detachment, one realizes completely that one is Atma. So Atma realization, Brahmabhuta platform means Atma realization. I am Atma, I am not the body. That is the end result of practicing Jnana Yoga. Having realized that either directly or with the help of Ashtanga Yoga, one comes to the platform of Samadhi and gives up that material body, and with the help of that body, one realizes Brahman and attains Brahman. So till now, in the Nishkama Karma Yoga, in the Jnana Yoga, in the Ashtanga Yoga, one is always contemplating that I am not this body, I am the spirit soul, I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. Finally, one comes to the point of I am the spirit soul. Having come to the understanding that I am the spirit soul, now where the spirit soul, the pure Jivatma, where the pure Jivatma supposed to go? The pure Jivatma supposed to go to Brahman. Now before going Brahman, we need to realize that what is Brahman. So that realization will come with the bhakti, and the journey towards the Brahman will also be accomplished by that bhakti. That is the general process that has been indicated in the Bhagavad Gita also, here in the section of Bhagavatam also. Of course, third canto also we discussed about it. So it's like that.
And one last thing, Prabhuji, like you mentioned the six angas of Jnana, that
Vidya, six angas of Vidya.
sorry, six angas of Vidya, like. So Vairagya and Tapasya are also considered as a part, means various angas of the Vidya.
Yes, they are also considered, but somehow or other they become integral part of Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. The tapasya is integral part of Jnana Yoga. Vairagya is integral part of Ashtanga Yoga. Otherwise, they are the prerequisites to practice these sadhanas. They become the pair sadhanas. Tapasya and Jnana is one pair. Vairagya and Ashtanga Yoga are one pair.
Okay.
So like that. So that six becomes four then. Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga.
That's what, because I was thinking these are the processes, and Vairagya and Tapasya sounds like a means to attain that. So how can they
So we
both
can say
be?
that stage one, stage two. So tapasya is the stage one, and Sankhya is the stage two. That Sankhya means Swadhyaya. Tapasya and Swadhyaya stage one, stage two. And Vairagya is stage one, Ashtanga is stage two. Because without Vairagya, you cannot sit in the Ashtanga Yoga. And without Tapasya, you cannot sit in Swadhyaya.
Okay, thank you.
Other devotees, do you have any questions or any doubts?
No, Prabhuji, good
Okay.
so far.
Okay. We will go ahead few more verses. नो चेत् प्रथममसदिन्द्रियवाजिसूता
नो चेत् प्रमतमसदिन्द्रियवाजिसूता
नित्वोत्पतं विषयदस्युषु निक्षिपन्ति
नित्वोत्पतं विषय दस्यासु निक्षिपन्ति
तेदस्य वा सहायसूतममुं तमोन्दे
ते ते दस्यवाः Sahayasu tamamum tamo ande.
संसारकूप उरुमृत्युभयक्षिपन्ति
Sansara kupa uru mrityu bhayak shipanti. Translation. Otherwise, if one does not take shelter of Achyuta and Baldev, then the senses acting as the horses and the intelligence acting as the driver, both being prone to material contamination, inattentively bring the body, which acts as a chariot, to the path of sense gratification. When one is thus attracted again by the rogues of Vishaya, eating, sleeping, and mating, the horses and the chariot driver are thrown into the blinding, dark well of material existence. And one is again put into a dangerous and extremely fearful situation of repeated birth and death.
If a person does not have the strength of the Lord means strength of bhakti, the realization of the Lord. The horses of the material senses and the driver lead the chariot and inattentive passenger, the jiva, on the wrong road. That means when the chitta is not strong, when the bhakti is not strong, the horses will take the passenger on their own way. That is understanding. And where the horses will take the passenger? The horses will take the passenger in a different place and throw them into the plunderers, the attraction and repulsion. So we become subjected to Ichcha Dvesha. As Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Ichcha Dvesha Samuttena Dvanda Mohena Bharata. So that's all. We are bound in this material world. Ichcha and Dvesha only are the cause of bondage in this material world. The sense objects, plunderers, throw the jiva in the dark hole of samsara with great fear of death, along with the horses and driver. So it's like that. The sense objects, plunderers, eventually throw the jiva in the dark hole of samsara with great fear of death, along with the horses and driver. So like that. Finally, the vehicle goes into a wrong path, a wrong destination. If one is not strong enough, one's bhakti is not strong enough. So in that way. In the absence of the strength of the Lord, one cannot achieve the goal. Rather, one falls. If the passenger of the chariot has no strength, if the jiva has no bhakti, then the senses and intelligence take control and take the passenger wherever they want to take. Though not having strength of the Lord or bhakti, the jiva board the chariot in order to take aim, but is inattentive. So jiva says, "No, I want to fight." किसके साथ fight करना? पता नहीं. So like that. And otherwise, I want to travel. Where to travel? Pata nahi. Just like that. Go here and there. So not like that. This means that without bhakti, he desires only liberation. The plunderers are attraction, hatred, and other qualities. One may say that I want to get mukti, I want to get liberation. But how do you get liberation? I don't know. मैं चलता रहूंगा. Like in India, common people say that आप जो भी करो, ultimately will go there. Everyone will go there only. आप कुछ भी करो, सब कुछ उधर ही जाना चाहिए. आपको इतना कष्ट करके भक्ति करने की जरूरत नहीं. हम भी उधर ही जाएंगे, आप भी उधर ही जाएंगे, सब कुछ उधर ही जाएंगे. So like that, people, common people in India, they say that is because of ignorance. Enjoyment in the world. Sorry. Okay. So till here, the previous section I think is completed, and now the new section is going to start, which is going to talk about Pravrutti Marga and Nivrutti Marga. So till now, it was all talking about Nivrutti Marga only, because Yudhishthira Maharaj asked the same question: what kind of Varna Ashrama Achara should be followed? As a result of that, one attains liberation. So there could be a question, not that everyone want to attain liberation, they want to live happily in this world. Also, there could be some people, okay, you want to live happily, but follow the Pravrutti Marga as it is indicated in the Vedas. At least you are not bound in a grass way. So whatever is authorized way of living happily in this material, follow that. That authorized way of living happily in this material world is called Pravrutti Marga. And Nivrutti Marga means follow all Varnashram duties with the intention to go and attain liberation. Attaining liberation is called Nivrutti Marga, and Pravrutti Marga is staying here and enjoying. So now There's a brief summary of Pravrutti Marga and Nivrutti Marga will be mentioned in the next section, starting from 47 to 68. So with this, Narada Muni will conclude his teachings. This is the last section of his teachings. Later on, some quick summary is there. So that means till now, people practice Varnashrama duties. No, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked, please tell me what kind of Varnashrama duties should be followed. As a result of that, one attains liberation. So keeping the attainment of liberation in mind, till now, he told what should be done, how they should be done. Now, there could be some grahasthas or some other people in some other varnas and ashramas, they don't want to attain liberation, but they want to be happy in this material world. How the duties of varnashrama can help them to be happy in this material world, but not to be bound in a grass way, not to go to Narakaloka, not to get birth in the lower species. Otherwise, being happy in this material world means perform pious activities, go to Swarga and go to Pitruloka or go to Swargaloka. Once your piety is over, come back, again perform piety, again go to Pitruloka, again go to Swargaloka and come back. That means going upward and coming out, coming to earth, upward and coming to earth, not entering into lower species, not entering into Narakaloka. That is called Pravrutti Marga. So that is as per the Vedic guidance. So evam traidharma manu prapanna gata kama kama labante. So they follow the three Vedas. As a result of that, they go to Swarga or Pitruloka. They enjoy for some time there. They come back again, take birth as a human beings in aristocratic family. Again, they perform the pious rituals. So this is called Pravrutti Marga. So that will be described in the next section. Enjoyment in the world. Sorry, this is supposed to be world. Enjoyment in the world is prescribed in the scriptures. It is not forbidden. Yes, the Vedas also talk about Pravrutti Marga. Because Pravrutti Marga, because Jiva comes to enjoy, the Vedas prescribe how to enjoy without being bound in a sinful way. Without performing any sinful activity also we can enjoy. How that can be done? That is explained in the Pravrutti Marga section of the Vedas. That is true. According to qualification and differing results, one should see the arrangements made. This is explained in 10 verses. 47 to 56 talks about Pravrutti Marga. 57 to 68 talks about Nivrutti Marga. How that Pravrutti Marga can be converted into Nivrutti Marga. That will be mentioned in the next 10 shlokas. So let us see. What is this Pravrutti Marga? How does it supposed to be followed? Pravrittam cha nivrittam cha
Pravrittam cha nivrittam cha
vividam karma vaidikam
dividam karma vaidikam
avartate pravrittena
avartate pravrittena
nivritte nasnute mrutam.
nivritte nasunuttam. Translation. According to the Vedas, there are two kinds of activities, pravritti and nivritti. Pravritti activities involve raising oneself from a lower to a higher condition of materialistic life, whereas nivritti means the cessation of material desire. Through pravritti activities, one suffers from material entanglement, but by nivritti activities, one is purified and becomes fit to enjoy eternal blissful life.
The shloka says there are two types of karma. Pravrutti karma, nivrutti karma. Pravrutti karma means sakama karma, performing karmic rituals with an intention to attain higher standard of life, either in Swargaloka or in Pitruloka or in aristocratic family. And nivrutti means nishkama karma yoga followed by jnana yoga, followed by ashtanga yoga, followed by bhakti yoga and attainment of sahitya mukti. So, but while one is in grahastha ashram, one need to perform karma. That karma has to basically that is Vedic karma, not ordinary karma. Karma Vedikam. The Vedic way of performing karma is of two types: Pravrutti karma, Nivrutti karma. Nivrutti karma is Nishkama karma yoga, for Pravrutti karma is Sakama karma yoga. But these two are in the mode of goodness. The mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance, people perform vikarma. That is called sinful karmic activities. The sinful karmic activities take one to Narakaloka and give one birth in Asura family or lower species like that. So performing karma in the mode of ignorance and passion is called vikarma. Performing karma in the mode of goodness is called in two ways. If it is performed with the intention to attain the higher birth in higher loka, that is called sakama karma. If the karma is performed with the intention to attain liberation, that is called nishkama karma yoga. So total 3 types of karmas we have. This nishkama karma yoga, according to Bhagavad Gita, we can also understand it as akarma. It is such a karma which does not bind one in the material world. Though in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says it is bhakti, but from the current topic point of view, we can also call it as akarma or naishkarma. In the Bhagavatam, certain places it is also called naishkarma. Nishkama karma yoga, naishkarma, akarma, these are all synonym to each other. And there is another one, next one is sakama karma, and the third one is vikarma. So these are three types of karma. But sakama karma and nishkama karma are called Vedic karma, and vikarma is called non-Vedic karma. So what was that verse from 16th chapter? Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. Daiva Sampad is Vedic, Asura Sampad is non-Vedic. So like that. By the path of pravrutti, one remains a householder. Avartate pravruttena, that means by the performance of sakama karma, pravrutti marga, by following pravrutti marga, either one may go to Swargaloka or one may go to Pitruloka, but one will again come back and again take birth in aristocratic family, again perform same pious rituals. So one always remains in Grahastha ashram. One will never enter into Vanaprastha and Sannyasi. Who will enter into Vanaprastha Sannyasi? Those who want to attain liberation. Only they try to enter into Vanaprastha Sannyasi. स्वर्ग जाने के लिए गृहस्थ आश्रम के साथ स्वर्ग जा सकते. स्वर्ग जाने वाला they don't have to enter into वानप्रस्थ or सन्यासी. उनको जरूरत नहीं. Because the ultimate goal of karma is swarga. But those who reject swarga and enter into vanaprastha, they are qualified to attain Sahajya Mukti. So basically, the pravrutta karmas always remain householders. Whether one may be in Swargaloka or one may be in Bhuloka, सब जगह पर family में नहीं रहेगा. By the path of nivrutti, one becomes a sannyasi. So when one becomes sannyasi, one will attain liberation. So from Grahastha, by the practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga in the Grahastha ashram, one enters into Vanaprastha and practices Jnana Yoga, and eventually one enters into Sannyasa after attaining renunciation, Vairagya. Then by the practice of Sannyasa, if by the practice of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga in the Sannyasa ashram, one eventually attains Sahajya Mukti. So like that. So Nivrutti Marga will give one qualification to enter into Vanaprastha or Sannyasa order and eventually Sahajya Mukti. And Pravrutti Marga will give qualification one to enter into Swargaloka or Pitruloka, again come back and take birth in aristocrat family and become Grahastha. So this is how we have to understand. By the path of Pravrutti, one remains a householder. By the path of Nivrutti, one becomes a Vanaprastha and then a Sannyasi and attains. Actually, Shloka you see, Avartate Pravrutti, and by the Pravrutti, one will go to Swargaloka or Pitruloka and will come back to Bhuloka. Avartate means they will come back. But Nivruttena Ashnute Amrutam. By the practice of Nivrutti Dharma, one eventually attains liberation. Amrutam means liberation. One does not come back again. This person will never come back, but this person will always come back. That is the distinction between the Sakama Karma and Nishkama Karma Yoga. So, these are the two paths which are also explained in the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, which was explained in the Bhagavad Gita, is again repeated here. The same thing. The shlokas have same meaning, same thing will be repeated. Imshram dravyamyam kamyam
Imstram dravyamyam kamyam
agnihotradi ashantidam
agnihotradi ashantidam
darshascha paurnamasascha
darshascha purnamasascha
chaturmasyam pashusutah.
chaturmasyam pashusata.
एतदिष्टं प्रवृत्ताख्यं
एतदिष्टं प्रवृत्ताख्यं
हुतं प्रहुतमेव च
हुतं प्रहुतमेव च
पूर्तं सुरालया रामा
पूर्तं सुरालया रामा
कूपाजीव्या कूपाजीव्यादिलक्षणम्
उपाजीव्यादिलक्षणम्. The ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices known as Agnihotra Yagya, Darsha Yagya, Paurnamasa Yagya, Chaturmasi Yagya, Pashu Yagya, and Soma Yagya are all symptomized by the killing of animals and the burning of many valuables, especially food grains, all for the fulfillment of material desires and the creation of anxiety. Performing such sacrifices, worshipping Vaishvadeva, and performing the ceremonies of Baliharana, which all supposedly constitute the goal of life, as well as constructing temples for demigods, building resting houses and gardens, digging wells for the distribution of water, establishing booths for the distribution of food, and performing activities for public welfare. These are all symptomized by attachment to material desires.
Hmm. So this verse gives a clear understanding of what do you mean by performing sakama karma or following pravrutti dharma. तो क्या करने से हम उसको प्रवृत्ति धर्मी बोल सकते. This verse will tell us that the ritualistic sacrifices known as Agnihotra Yajna, Darsha Yajna, Paurnamasa Yajna, Chaturmasya Yajna, Pashu Yajna, Soma Yajna, Vaishvadeva Yajna, and other offerings are approved path of pravrutti, producing great material attachment and including killing of animals and offering ingredients to fulfill one's material desire. All these yajnas are intended to take one to Sargaloka. Whether one may perform Agnihotra Yajna. There are some Agnihotri Brahmanas who perform Agnihotri Yajna every day early in the morning. In their homes, Agni will never extinguish for their entire life. So at least in the past, they used to perform Agnihotra Yajna. Nowadays, some Brahmanas keep one lamp in their home. They'll make sure that the lamp will never extinguish. That is called Agnihotra Yajna. Darsha Yajna, Paurnamasa Yajna, Chaturmasya Yajna. People perform Chaturmasya very strictly. Pashu Yajna, Soma Yajna, Vaishvadeva Yajna. There are all these different yajnas. The result is one will become qualified to go to Sargaloka or Pitraloka. And this is nothing but Pravrutti Dharma, which produce great material attachment and include killing of animals and offering ingredients to fulfill material desires. Of course, Pashu Yajna means Gomeda Yajna, Ashwamedha Yajna, we need to offer animals. So killing is there. But why they are doing all these things? With the intention to go to Swarga. Kamatmana Swargapara Janma Karma Falapradam. Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Kriya Vishesha Bahulam. With an intention to get more Bhoga, more Aishwarya, they want to go to Swargaloka. In order to go to Swargaloka, they need to perform all these yajnas. Very clear. Without any confusion, everything is clearly indicated here. It also includes public welfare projects. Not only performing these yajnas is called Sakama Karma. Sakama Karma also includes few more things. What are they? It also includes the public welfare projects. So those projects which are helping the people in general, constructing temples, constructing gardens, constructing wells, and giving the means of sustenance. Like in holy places, constructing satra, whoever comes there, they are provided free accommodation, they are provided grains so that they will cook and eat, such kind of things. All these things are also called as pious activities. They will entail one to attain Sargaloka. There are three aspects: Yajna, Dana, Tapa. So in all these things, Yajna is there. And dana tapa. In doing all these things, there is dana and tapa. So more or less, they're all dana only. Performing public welfare act projects, constructing temples, constructing gardens, constructing wells, constructing satras, and providing the grains and all these and things, but dana. And tapa means, of course, in order to perform all these things, one has to restrain one's own selfish interest. That itself is the biggest tapasya. आप मेहनत कर रहे हैं, जो पैसा आप कमा रहे हैं वो पैसा लोगों का उद्धार के लिए यूज कर रहे हैं. So being determined and able to continue the determination itself is a big tapasya. And for example, Agnihotra Yajna, every day making sure that the Agni is never extinguished is also big tapasya. उतना concentration, उतना focus दिखाना उसके ऊपर, that is a big tapasya. And without fail performing all these things one after the other very diligently, that is also tapasya. So Yajna, Dana, Tapa. These things when they are performed, one will go to Swarga. Because they are performing all these things, the intention to go to Swarga only. That's why they are going. Because they know, if I give dana for this constructing temples, constructing gardens, wells, and satras, and also other welfare activities, I will go to Satra. I will go to Swarga happily. So that's what Shastra said they are doing, and they will go to Swarga without any doubt. Himshram means animal killing. Asantidam means that it produces great attachment. Various types of sacrifices are mentioned. Pashu means an animal sacrifice. Sutaha means a soma sacrifice. Hutam is an offering to the Vaishvadevas. Prahutam means offering of food. All these are called sacrifices. Ajivya means building water holes. Of course, here in this, Anna, this is giving sustenance means providing food. Annadan. Nowadays, it has become very special. And during Kumbh Mela, people put a lot of bandaras. That is basically called Annadan. They want to provide free food. That will enable one to go to Swarga. Even yesterday we had in Mandi Ratha Yatra. So in the morning, some of our students who were coordinating, they were getting called that we want to put a stall. So I thought they will put a stall and they will sell some food items, some snacks items evening when we are doing Ratha Yatra and all. But later on I realized it is not a selling stall. It is a free stall. They kept 3 stalls in 3 places like food bandara. Basically, there's some juice and some snacks were there. And they are giving for free, not charging. So this is the culture in the north, it seems. South we don't see like this so much, but north may we see like this. So they know at an auspicious place, at an auspicious time, if they provide food to others, they'll go to Swarga. Because that is piety. So your hard work, you are giving it to others for free of cost. Not ordinarily, but on a special occasion. So when you do that as a special occasion, one will get better benefit, much more benefit. So they are doing. Like Kumbh Mela also, we see people put lot of bandaras. They will provide food for everyone. We are also doing, ISKCON also doing. And many places like that, bandaras are there. Even now also, if you go to, some place, Naimisharana, we went once, they are also putting a lot of bandaras. And so every Sunday they put a lot of bandaras because they know that many pilgrims will come. They need prasadam. And many temples in all over India also, like Tirupati, the Anna Prasadam is there. Udupi Anna Prasadam is there. Like many temples, wherever we go, there is free Anna Prasadam. Of course, in the temples, it may not be with the intention of going to Swarga, but the people who give charity to the temples, they have that intention, with the intention to go to Swarga. Even our ISKCON Food for Life also, people give charity, hoping that they will attend Swarga one day. So like that. So this is Sakama Karma. When I was reading, I was like, yeah, this verse gives wholesome understanding. What is Sakama Karma? What they will do actually. Many times we may have doubt. What do you mean by Sakama Karma, Nishkama Karma, all these things? So like that. So there may be some yajnas for Nishkama Karma Yogis also, but they may not be the same yajnas. There will be different yajnas. Because the yajna itself will have a different name and different procedure. Because in that yajna there was no desire to go to Swargaloka. The desire to, in that yajna, the desire free from all the material desires and become attached to liberation. So here, this yajna is performed with the intention to go to Swarga. So the purpose itself is different. Then the process also will become different. So in that way, they also perform yajna, they also perform dana, they also perform tapasya. So here the dana is given in all these things because I am doing all these things, I am providing something good for the people. I will also get good in return in the Swarga. But when a Nishkama Karma Yogi performs charities like this, he does Gupta Dhan. He does not do it after announcing his name, and he does it especially for those, we have discussed this in the past. He will provide food for those who are on the path back to God or on the path of liberation. He will provide shelter, he will provide clothing, he will provide everything for such kind of people only, so that he will also acquire such kind of mentality. That has been mentioned in the previous chapters very clearly. Last chapter it is clearly mentioned. A Nishkama Karma Yogi also serves and gives charities to those people who are also on the path back to God. Especially, he tries to find a sannyasi and he provides everything to a sannyasi so that he can cultivate, he can inculcate the similar qualities. So, that is the difference. A Sakama Karmi serves another Sakama Karmi with the intention to go to Swarga. A Nishkama Karmi serves another Nishkama Karmi, or much more than that, a sannyasi who is already on the path back to liberation, so that he will also get the same intention. That's how it may be called Yajna Dana Tapa, but the recipient is different. As a result of that, the process becomes different and the destiny also becomes different. This is how we have to understand. The method of ascending and descending by the path of pravrutti is described. So pravrutti marga person क्या करते हैं, ऊपर जाते हैं वापस नीचे आते. So ये दिन आवर्तते pravruttena. By pravrutti marga he will go to sargaloka or pitraloka, and after the piety is over comes back. So in order to go to sargaloka, one has to do all these things. Yajnadana tapa. So then how one will go to sargaloka or pitraloka and how one will come back, that will be explained in the next two verses. द्रव्य सूक्ष्म विपाकश्च
द्रव्य सूक्ष्म विपाकश्च
धूमो रात्रि अपक्षयः
धूमो रात्रिरपक्षया
अयनं दक्षिणं सोमो
अयनं दक्षिणं सोमो
हर्ष ओषधिविरूढः
दर्श ओषधिविरुद्धः
अन्नं रेत इति क्ष्मेष
अन्नं रेत इति क्ष्मेष
पितृयानं पुनर्भवः
पितृयानं पुनर्भवा
एकैकस्तेनानुपूर्वम्
एकैकस्येनानुपूर्वं
भूत्वा भूत्वेह जायते.
भूत्वा भूत्वेह जायते. My dear King Yudhishthira, when oblations of ghee and food grains like barley and sesame are offered in sacrifice, they turn into celestial smoke, which carries one to successively higher planetary systems like the kingdoms of Dhuma, Ratri, Krishna Paksha, Dakshinam, and ultimately the moon. Then, however, the performer of sacrifice descends again to earth to become herbs, creepers, vegetables, and food grains. These are eaten by different living entities and turned into semen, which is injected into female bodies. Thus, one takes birth again and again.
How one attains Svargaloka and how one comes back, that has been described in this verse. Assuming a covering through the transformation of rice offerings, the Jiva, through the deities of smoke, night, the waning fortnight, and the southern moving sun, attains the moon planet, that is Pitraloka. Or some more pious people, they will attain Swargaloka also, but here, just to understand, Pitraloka has been indicated. After enjoying for a while, one's body dwindles and he becomes herbs, which are eaten by the animals and finally becomes semen. In this way, the jiva passes through these states, successive, all the successive stages. The steps up to the moon planet are described. First, the oblations of the cooked rice undergo transformations and becomes the beginning of the next body. Surrounded by this, one proceeds further. So simple to understand is, as it is mentioned in the previous chapter, by a person while being in the Grihastha ashram, he performs all the yajnas and danas and tapasyas. What all the yajnas he performs? Agni Soma Yajna, Darsha Yajna, Paurnamasa Yajna, Chaturmasa Yajna, Pashu Yajna, Soma Yajna, Vaishvadeva Yajna. He also performs public welfare activities, construction of the temples, gardens, wells, satras, Annadanam, etc. etc. All these things one does. So whatever one is offering in sacrifice in this yajna or in the Annadan, दान में तो clearly it is of sacrificed. One is sacrificing one's hard-earned money. In yajna, one is also sacrificing the food grains, ghee, and other wood products, etc. So basically, he is doing with a faith that by doing all these things, I will go to Swarga. So that means whatever has been done here, with whatever intention, after giving up this body, one becomes that intention. The intention is to go to Swarga. So like that. That is the understanding. So first, the oblations of cooked rice undergo transformation. That means with a faith, we are offering the oblations in the form of the Ashtadanya, Navadatu, Danya, Navadanya, or the sweet rice, which is also offered. So the rice also is also offered in that yajna or etc. Other dana activities and all. So that goes through transformation, and it becomes the beginning of the next body. So this charity, this performance of yajna, this performance of tapasya will create our heavenly body. That is the understanding. So this is described in the water body in the Shrutis. This is described as the water body in the Shrutis. So what kind of body we'll get? We'll get a water body. Why water body? Pitraloka is the moon planet, is a water planet. So when we go to moon planet, we get a water body, obviously. When we are living on the earth, we have a earthly body. If we go to sun, we'll get a fire body. When we go to moon, we get a water body. Because the moon planet is a water planet. So how does one get water body? One has to go to Pitraloka. How does one go to Pitraloka? One will have to leave the body, the earthly body at a certain point of time, take the help of some deities and then go to Pitraloka. As Dumo Ratri, that verse comes in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 8. Same thing here. Dumo Ratri Apakshayam Ayanam Dakshinam Somo Dasra Oshadi Viruda. So like that. Somo. So by giving up or during the night time or during the Krishna Paksha or during Dakshinayana, one eventually goes to Soma. That is moon planet. So here it is that, do you know how the waters of the fifth oblation becomes signified as a Purusha? Do you know how one gets water body? Like that the question is there. So how do one get water body? That means body in the Pitraloka. Another version has Dravyam Ushma Vipakascha. In this case, Dravyam means the senses described by the word Teja. Ushma Vipaka means the light in the heart. Some notes are there. First, one obtains senses for performing pious activities. Then, at the time of death, one obtains an opening of the heart, opening in the heart. Then one attains smoke and other stages. So basically, the meaning of these quotations from various Upanishads and the quotations given in the Bhagavatam shloka itself is, so the words smoke refers to the precedent deities of those items. The precedent deity of the smoke, the precedent deity of the night, the precedent deity of Krishna Paksha, the precedent deity of Dakshinayana. All these people are like, say for example, you are trying to go from place A to place B. So you are walking. On the way, some bike is going, a car is going, you ask for a lift, and they will take you to still wherever they are supposed to go. From there, take another lift, like that. The deity of the smoke, the deity of the night, the deity of Krishna Paksha, and the deity of Dakshinayana sun, they will take us All these four people helping each other, I mean, one after the other helping us, they will take us to Pitraloka or even Sargaloka also. So these are the lift givers on our path to Pitraloka or Sargaloka. That's how we have to understand. So thus, he then attained the deity of the waning moon and then the moon planet. By these deities, he attained the moon planet and then enjoys. After enjoying, he then descends. So as long as one's piety, one accumulated by the performance of Yajna Dana Tapa, allows the person will stay either in Pitraloka or Sargaloka. When the piety is over, Tetam book में Martelokam Vishanti. As soon as the piety is over, one has to come back to Marteloka. The body disintegrates with the dark moon. Then by rain he becomes herbs and bushes. O king, being eaten by animals, he becomes semen and then eventually a person. Thus I have described the path of descent. Becoming herbs and other bodies, one in this way goes through various stages in succession. Of course, this description is not very clear. So the clear-cut understanding is either one may go to Sargaloka or Pitraloka. Having gone there, one gets a heavenly body. If those who go to Pitraloka, they will get a water body. Those who go to Sargaloka, they will get a Devata body. They will enjoy. When their piety is over, they are simply thrown out of that Loka, from Sargaloka or Pitraloka. While they are coming down to Bhuloka, on the way, we have Bhuta, Preta, Pichashas, and Yaksha who are living in the Bor Loka. They were very much hungry. So they feast upon these people who are falling down from Pitraloka or Sargaloka. So this person, unable to tolerate the pain of being eaten by the Bhuta, Preta, Pichashas and Yaksha he leaves behind that body. And as the pure Atma, as well as the subtle body, enters into the clouds. When the clouds rain, they'll fall on the ground, then enters into the earth. Through the earth, they enters into the roots of a plant, then they enter into the plants. There could be some plants could be like green grasses. There could be some plants like the vegetables. So that animals will eat green grasses, and through that green grass enters into their stomach and eventually enters into their semen. From the male animal enters into the female animal. That's how the female animal gets the birth. Even in case if there are carnivorous animals, first the herbivorous animal eats the grass, then the soul is in that body of that herbivorous animal. When the carnivorous animals eat the body of the herbivorous animal, let's say the soul enters into the carnivorous animal and enters into the semen of the carnivorous animal, then enters into the female counterpart and then take birth. In the case of human beings, the soul enters into the plants which will produce vegetables and seeds and lentils, etc., rice and lentils. And when the person eats them, then eats by male person, eventually it enters into the semen, then eventually enters into the womb of the mother and eventually takes birth. So this is how again the person takes birth in aristocratic family and again performs the same pious activities, again goes to Swarga. This cycle keeps going on. That's why it is called as Pravrutti. Pra means continuously. Continuously this Vritti will be happening. They keep going up and down, up and down. Oh, chalta rehta hai cycle. So like that. The main activity of the performer of karma is described. Having described the path of enjoyment, now the path of detachment is described through the path of sun to Brahmaloka. When the
Hare
path of
Krishna.
enjoyment, one second, just one sentence. In the path of enjoyment, one goes to Sargaloka or Pitraloka, comes back. In the path of detachment, one goes to Sahyajya Mukti, Brahma Jyoti, and one does not come back. So that is the distinction between these two. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, there is some confusion regarding like suppose so many souls are falling from the rain as we are discussing now, and then they will enter the plant means maybe those bigger plants or maybe the grass, green grass as you have mentioned. So suppose for example the green grass itself is a living entity and it is having its own soul to be a living entity, and then these another souls will enter that vegetable or the plant, and then for a moment there will be many souls in that plant, and when that plant is eaten by the animal, particular animal, herbivorous animals, then only those souls which have entered as a guest souls, not because of that which is that living entity is a living entity. That is the main soul of that body of plant. And these souls only will enter the herbivorous animals' digestive system. So, how it has to be understood, Prabhuji?
It is as per their own karma. If there is a plant, take the example of one rice plant only, you take the example. So, a rice
Okay.
plant has 200 seeds. So, assume that the 200 seeds have 200 independent souls.
So,
The right plant itself is one soul, and is hosting 200 independent souls. So now, out of 200 grains, some grains are eaten by a bird. So the whichever grain eaten by a bird, that grain will have a bird soul. The soul which is supposed to become bird now immediately. Because that grain is eaten by a bird, and that is a male bird, and eventually enters into female bird and gives birth to female a bird through that female bird. एक हो गया. One more grain will be eaten by a cow, not cow, bull, we can say, and eventually through that bull, a cow is impregnated and cow gives birth to a cattle. Or some grains are eaten by goat, and the goat will give birth to goat, the male goat and female goat, and then goat child. And then some grains are eaten by human being, male person, then female, then human being, and the remaining grains will be sown once again, and they will become again rice plants.
but
So one
Prabhuji,
rice plant can host all different souls who are supposed to become different living entities. That is possible. How we cannot determine who will become what? That is according to their karma.
okay. Uh, And Prabhuji, like grains will not be eaten only by the male counterparts of any species. Nah, they will be eaten by
No, not
female.
see that is okay. See, it is like if the soul has to take birth, it will go to male person only. If
No, no.
the
My
female,
point
if
is
the female counterpart setting means that grains may not have any soul who are supposed to become the human beings. So they may have a grain soul only, the grain soul, but which are not supposed to take birth anymore. Just like a child will be aborted in the womb. 5 months के बाद abort हो गया, वो जन्म पैदा हुआ नहीं. So like that, there is a grain soul. Instead of eating, if you sow in the ground, it will become a plant. But you are eating the grain, so it is kind of aborted. If not
okay.
other souls, at least every grain will have grains of a plant soul by default.
Okay, because my point was, Prabhuji, what I mentioned that female counterparts also will eat. So, but as you mentioned, it is so very means meticulously managed the whole system that only those that part of a grass will be eaten by the female counterparts which doesn't have other souls. That is one option or one possibility what you are
Ah,
explaining.
that
And
that that particular grain or grass that does not have the animal soul, but definitely will have the grass soul,
its own soul,
the
yeah, the
plant soul, which is supposed to become the
original.
plant, but it is eaten by the female. So that's all हो गया, अभी उनका कर्मा उधर ही खत्म हो गया.
And means suppose the another possibility what I was thinking was that the plant has another guest souls like those who are supposed to be eaten by somebody and going to some species like that. So if that kind of a plant is eaten by the female counterparts, they will have again to go whatever journey they did till now. Again, they will have to go through that like that. Is it like that? That's what I.
Obviously, sometimes that can also possible. Like for example, even forget about female counter. If that grains are eaten by animals, so animals eat. Eventually, they excrete in the form of urine or stool. I mean, like cow dung or cow urine. Again, it comes to the earth only. Again, enters into a different plant. Again, that will
Oh,
be eaten by human being, and like that. That is after some time they may become human.
oh, okay, okay.
So that possibility also is there.
Okay. And one more doubt I had, Prabhuji, maybe I don't know, from being a doctor perspective, I am talking like when they are eating, it is entering in the digestive system, na Prabhuji. So
Hmm. No
then
problem.
how it goes to the genitourinary system to enter into the female counterparts, like they will but through the semen like that.
No, see, second canto very clearly mentions our body is made up of seven dhatus. The very essence finally transforms into semen. Charma, swak, charma, macha, mazza, mamsa, rudira, majja, asti. I mean, I don't remember exactly the proper seven. The first one is outer skin, second one is inner skin, like that. No, not like that. When we
Muscles
eat,
and
na, no,
and
no,
yeah.
that is the seven layers, the seven covering, not that. When we eat food, it try to go through seven transformations. First, we eat food. We kind of chew through our teeth, and it will be digested in the stomach. It transforms into blood, and eventually the blood transforms into flesh, and the flesh transforms into bone, and the bone transforms into marrow, and finally marrow transforms into semen. The seven stages of transformation is there in whatever food we eat.
Okay.
Hmm.
So like that is why it is so very means semen is considered as so much not precious, but it is said na that one who doesn't discard the semen, they urdhva reta and all those things
Hmm.
which is
Yes,
that
yes, yes, yes,
they will
yes.
maintain their power and like
Hmm.
that. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Other devotees have any questions?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, I think we'll stop here. The other things we will continue in the next class. So we have been discussing a lot. So this
Hare
is
Krishna.
little technical topic. I mean, technical means in sense it is not like any pastimes are there. The same things are rules and regulations are already going for last five chapters. Continuously, we are discussing so many rules and regulations, what to do, what not to do, etc. Little bit boring, but we need to understand because these things are required because we are living in the society. We need to understand how society is supposed to function. So, so this is very, I mean, very actually, everyone should have this understanding of what is what, how should be, how things should be done, how the people are doing, how they are supposed to do. Such kind of understanding is very much essential. Especially all the parents should know this, and they should teach to their children so that they will retain that traditional ancient Vedic Varnashrama system. Otherwise, we simply live for the sake of living as time is passing and will be dragged by the fast wind of time. So, in that way.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Push.
I have one doubt.
Ah,
When we say when the grass is eaten, that soul goes into the body of whoever eats.
mm.
But my understanding is if you start eating, the soul will escape. So how the soul will enter into the body? That is only the
Where it will escape? तो कहाँ जाएगा?
when we say a person is dead, the soul escapes, no?
No.
When
Okay.
tomorrow I am eaten by
See.
a lion,
Ah.
my soul will escape before the lion finishes eating me. So it doesn't
No,
enter into.
no. You are not eating the lion's soul. See, that's why I gave the example of a rice plant. There is a rice plant. The plant itself has a soul. You are not disturbing that. But the rice plant will produce 200 rice grains. And there is a possibility that not a possibility, there is a surety that every rice grain has an independent soul. The first soul is the plant soul. Even, I don't know, if you have experience of the agriculture, if you have seen, we will never kill the rice plant. Rice plant will die on its own. When the rice pad is ready, if this is the entire rice plant which is coming out of the ground, we cut till here. Still this much part of the plant is still there. The rice plant is not dead completely there. But eventually, by not providing sufficient amount of water, by the heavy sunlight, the entire ground becomes dried up and the plant will die. The plant will die by nature's course. If you provide water, again the plant will grow. The rice plant will again grow without any issue. We are not killing the rice plant, but on top of the rice paddy, we have 200 rice grains. Each and every rice grain will have a soul. Default setting is every rice grain can be having a rice soul only. But there is a possibility that some grains might have a bird soul, a soul which is supposed to become the bird. A soul might become the animal, like a goat, cow, or a soul might supposed to become the human. So whichever grain which hosts the human soul, that will be eaten by a male person. Whichever grain which hosts a goat person, that will be eaten by a male goat. Whichever grain which will host a bird soul, that will be eaten by a male bird. This is how karma acts. Karma is so perfect, it will never make a mistake.
Okay, bro.
So like that. So we are not killing the original person. So even in the case of carnivorous, herbivorous animals, for example, this grain is eaten by a herbivorous animal, but the grain has a carnivorous soul. No problem. It takes the shelter of the herbivorous animal, like for example, a goat or a deer or something like that. A tiger will come and eat that goat or eat that deer. So along with the flesh, that will enter into the body of a tiger, male tiger. Now enters into the semen of the male tiger, then eventually female tiger, and then gets birth into the female tiger's family. So like that. Sometimes it may happen directly, sometimes it may happen through indirect way. So,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, if we apply the same logic, like suppose a human being is swallowed by a asgar, the python, that means the body, we will say, okay, that person is gone, like he's a dead. But by this logic, what we are discussing, that means that human being's soul will enter the python's body and it will turn into the semen of python. And then
no. Again, you are mistaking. You are mistaking. The human being soul, it is dead.
soul is dead.
What is karma says? When human dies, he will not become any other in species immediately. Every human supposed to go to Naraka Yamaraj and then only takes birth. A human does not take birth immediately. All other species can take birth immediately. But human has to take a break. He has to go to Yamaraj, then only he takes birth. As Prabhuji said, the human soul escapes the dead body. When Ajagar eats a human body, it only eats the human body, but not the soul. But by chance, if this human had eaten a food in the morning and that food contained some grains, that grain, one of the grain might have a Ajagar soul. That Ajagar soul will go along with the flesh of this human body, enter into that Ajagar, and that Ajagar will take birth eventually. But this human soul will not become Ajagar because human soul is supposed to go to Yamaraj.
Oh.
Every human after death is supposed to go to Yamaraj. There is no escape from that.
Even the devotees.
Even for few seconds also no problem. They will go to Yamaraj for few seconds and they will show their face, and if they have to take birth immediately, they'll come back. But they have to go to Yamaraj.
Okay. Even the devotees.
No, not the devotees. Why devotees go to Yamaraj? Sixth canto already over, no?
Okay.
Devotee will not go to Yamaraj. But in
Okay, we
general.
are talking about the others. Okay.
In general.
Other practitioners.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Other devotees? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. No questions so far.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.